So welcome to the next part. Over here I'll be talking about the concept of locally stored repository. Okay, right. For example, this was a small test which we had made. Okay, now if you look at the object repository, hold on. Right. Over here you can map the objects from the object repository in the script. Okay, right. Whatever over here it is, whatever is written out here is a predefined class. Right, if you look at the code, this class is browser with the name Mozilla Start Firefox. So what happens is that, right, this browser class object with this name is found in the repository first. Then this page class object with this name is found in the repository. This is the Gmail page class object. Inside it there is a web button next. Okay, this is the web button next on which you click on. Right, this is how the mapping happens. Alright, now if I change the name of the browser out here, okay, if I change this browser name to say just browser Firefox, hit the enter button, it will change inside the code as well automatically. But don't change it in the code until or unless it's not changed in the repository. Right. Moreover, for example, this is the web button next, right? Okay, this is the next web button. Okay, I can change its name. Right, suppose I change its name to go to. Right, so if I hit enter button, it will change to go to in the script as well. But in the description properties, it will be still be same. Okay, description properties are the internal properties. Don't change this thing. The name you can change, the external name, this is the external name you can change, but the internal description properties of the object should remain same. Alright, I hope you understand this point very clearly. Right, now as we move ahead, okay, I'll be talking about hold on. I'll be talking about storing the repository somewhere. Alright, now why do we store the repository? We store the repository so that we can share it with the team. Okay, let me delete this code. Right, if I drag the object on the code, it automatically generates the code as well. Right, if I drag this help link over here, it will write browser Firefox, under that page gmail.link help.click. Right, okay, fine. Now what we do is that, suppose your friend says that okay, you want to actually share the repository with him. He says that fine, whatever object repository you have, whatever names you have in the repository, I need that particular repository. Okay, right, so how will you do that? For that you go to file, export local objects option. Right, you click on export local objects and you store the repository somewhere on the hard drive. So for example, I'll store it as temp.tsr file. Alright, so it will be stored in the repository. Okay, you can mail that this tsr file which you just have stored under this particular location. This is the tsr file. You can actually mail this tsr file to your colleague. Right, what your colleague will do is that he'll make a new test. Right, and hold on, he'll go to resources, resources, associate repositories option. Right, and select the object repository and drag action 1 over here, click on OK. So now inside your object repository you will have the repository which you have on the hard drive, but you cannot edit this repository. You can drag drop the objects from this repository onto your code, but you cannot directly edit the repository. Alright, fine. So why you can't edit this repository? Because you know it's a shared repository. Shared repository cannot be directly edited. It can be edited through object repository manager. Okay, you can open object repository manager like this, and you can open the repository and then enable editing from here and edit this repository. For example, I'll change the Firefox browser object name to say Mozilla. Fine, hit the enter button, and in the code still it be see that in the code it's changed to Mozilla, right? You save the repository, okay, and it will automatically be updated in the shared repository out here. And that's how we work practically. Practically what we do is that we don't start making the scripts like that. We first finalize the object repository. Suppose these are all my test cases. So what we do is that we first finalize an object repository, okay, which can be shared among multiple test cases. Okay, you finalize an object repository which can be shared with the multiple test cases, and multiple test cases can be used can use the object from the object repository. If some object changes, you just have to update the object in this object repository, and the change will will actually reflect everywhere on the each and every test case. Okay, so what you do is that you actually go to object repository manager, right? I'll create file new, right? I'll create a new object repository directly. I'll not open any test, I'll not record anything, I'll directly create an object repository. Okay, so for example, I am on the web page, say amazon.in, right? And from this web page, suppose this is the text field. Okay, I add this text field in the object repository manager. How do you add this? The same add function which is over here, the same as object repository. You add this text field out here. Fine. Then you add this, I'll give it a better name known as search field, right? But the internal things will remain same, right? Again you add this go button, right? This is a go button, I'll call it as search button, right? You save the object repository, file save it on your hard drive, that is Amazon. So you have finalized your object repository. Okay, I have not recorded it, I have not exported the local objects as I was doing earlier. I have finalized my object repository now. Now I can distribute this object repository in my team, so that everybody has the same set of objects. Okay, and what the team members will do is that they'll create a new test. Fine, hold on, and go to resources, associate repositories, and add this amazon.tsr into the test, right? So you can drag the search button as well as search field out here. Okay, so in the search field you can type in anything. Suppose I want to search for laptop, and then you click on the search button. Fine. So when you run this code on the browser, the same code will execute. Okay, right, see that laptop is being searched for, right? Tomorrow if you go inside this shared repository, you do anything with the object, you do any changes in the object. Suppose the name of the button changes tomorrow, the developer does some changes, and this name button, the property changes. Okay, right? So you can remove this property, you can select it, you can remove it, and add the new name. Right now it's go, right? But you can add the new name, right? Or you can, suppose I want to add the title property. Okay, you add the title property, you save the repository, and the changes will automatically be reflected inside the test case. Inside the test case, if you go to object repository, if you look at the search button, the title is now present. Earlier it was name. Okay, right. So this is the advantage of shared repository. Whatever changes you do in the shared will automatically get reflected in the test, and you can finalize your object repository first before building the test cases, and you can distribute the object repository to the team, and they can actually work separately using the same repository. Okay, now sometimes what happens is that it becomes impossible to finalize the object repository before a project starts. Looking at various circumstances, like you can say the test cases are not finalized, the functionalities are not finalized. Okay, right. So there can be various things which are in the air but not finalized, and still you have been asked to do the automation of few things which are ready. Okay, so you don't have a final repository with you, right? And suppose there are 3 team members in the project. Okay, then there is also an option like you can ask each and every team member to work on different test cases. Okay, and when the scripts are ready, all 3 of them can merge their object repositories. Okay, like for example, you were as a tester working on this search functionality. Okay, right. There can be another tester who might be working on the login functionality. Okay, so what he will do is that he will make a new object repository. He will add the sign in button in the object repository. Okay, then on the next page, hold on, let this page open up. Yeah, this is the sign in page, right? He will add the this is the sign in page. He'll add the email ID address field over here. So all these things he will add in his repository. He'll save this repository as Amazon login.tsr. Right. So you have got Amazon login.tsr and Amazon.tsr. These 2 files. Okay, 2 testers are there. One created Amazon.tsr in which he simply added the search features. The other is Amazon login.tsr. Now finally, when both of them merge their code into a single test script, they both will have to merge their object repositories as well. Right. So for that they can use the object repository manager again. Right. Out here under tools you have got object repository comparison tool, in which you can compare 2 object repositories, or object repository merge tool. Fine. You open up this tool and you give the primary file. Primary is say Amazon.tsr, secondary is Amazon login.tsr. If you click on OK, right, no conflicts found, that means it's good. Both of them have been merged. Look, when does a conflict occur? If both the testers they use the same object in their script, then you can find it will tell you that the conflict is over here and you can correct it. Alright, so QTP being a paid tool gives you all these options. Right now there are 0 different objects with the same name, right? 0 test objects with identical description and different names. Okay, so this is good. Generally you should work like this. Now you can make this object repository final. You can save this object repository on the hard drive named as final amazon.tsr, which can be given or which can be finally used for writing the test scripts. Okay, so this is a very important fundament. This is a very important thing, right? and it's used practically. This is how you work in projects. You merge the repositories, you work on individual test cases, and you merge the repositories together. Okay, right. So okay, practically we do VB scripting only. To be very honest with you, like I have 80 to 85% of the projects which I have worked on QTP, like only VB scripting is used. These object repository fundamentals are not used. Okay, because you know what, at times what happens is that if the size of the object repository goes very big, okay, then if the object repository becomes bulky, the script becomes slow. Alright, so at times that creates a problem, so VB scripting helps a lot. Alright, now talking about few functions inside the object repository. Okay, there are few functions on the top which I am going to talk about. This one, you know, add objects to local, right? The second one is highlight an application. Suppose I want to find where this search button is present on my Amazon page, right? So I can use this option, highlight an application. I think I have told you, click on this, see the go button will be highlighted. If I want to find where search field is there, I can click on this, highlight an application. See, this is gets highlighted. If you want to do the opposite way, if you want to find where this field is inside this, you can select the last option, locate in repository. If I click on go, then it will tell you where the go button is there. Okay, it's not actually letting me do that right now, some issue I guess. Web button go, okay, probably I changed the title or something. I'll check it out. Okay, maybe there is some issue, right? So anyways, okay, not a big problem, right? What we'll do now is, okay, we'll continue with the next topics, which is the identification properties and all that stuff. Okay, let's go with that. Let's see how the objects are identified, what are the various identification properties, what are the native properties. Okay, right, if you go to the website qtpselenium.com, right, so I'll be talking about object identification now, RO property, TO property and all everything.